This program has been produced from photographic material made available to us by the THG branch of the Knights Templar, the oldest order of chivalry. We are grateful to the order for trusting us with some of the most closely guarded secrets of all time. Millions of people have seen unidentified flying objects, UFOs or flying saucers. Many of these strange objects have been seen to be operated by human-like creatures. It is far too frightening for most of us to consider what these objects may be, where they come from and who's sending them. But in this program we will examine the evidence in the form of photos, diagrams and plans which link the enormous number of sightings during and after World War II with research, construction and test flight of a great number of electromagnetically driven craft. Some of these graphics are artists' impressions, but nearly all of what follows has been given to us as genuine material, which has been successfully kept secret for half a century. These photographs were taken by an eyewitness who describes a saucer-shaped craft flying a little faster than a jet airplane, flying very low, emitting a faint singing noise.
Jimmy Carter has seen a UFO too. All over the world come from outer space, but are Nazis who want to create a new Reich. Governments of the world are informed but afraid. If there is a serious economic crisis, they are afraid the Nazis will come with their flying saucers.
It is not only flying saucers that have been seen, but also flying cigars. Huge spaceships shaped like a cigar. These could be the motherships. The idea of a mothership was developed in Germany in 1944, or possibly earlier. This project was called Andromeda. Adamski and Leslie were not arrested. From then on, saucers looking like a Hane-Bootoo were thought to come from Venus. The origin of the many types of UFOs seen in almost every country on the planet remains a question. These positions are where German flags were erected. This is a document of gratitude signed by Hermann Goering. At the height of the Second World War, Admiral Dönitz, the submarine warfare expert, made a very secret mission to move the so-called Last Battalion. This is a list of nearly 100 U-boats which remain unaccounted for. From the serial numbers in the left-hand column we can see that this is not a random list but a complete series of U-boats which have disappeared. There is evidence of a number of secret bases in the Antarctic. This is a statue of Marduk, more of him later. Admiral Karl Dönitz and a president of the Third Reich signed the surrender documents which ended World War II in May 1945. But they never surrendered the Third Reich itself. So officially Germany never surrendered. And this raises the possibility that there may still be German forces in the Antarctic. At the beginning of the war in 1939, Hitler said that if Germany was overrun, the fight would continue from outside. Perhaps we need not place any special significance to this remark. During 1952 in Washington there was panic. You can see from these photographs of a radar screen UFOs flying in formation. They went straight over the White House. A number of radar surveillance centres had the same alarming images on their screens. This was July 1952. Some years prior to that, in 1946 and 1947, Admiral Byrd undertook a US Navy invasion of Antarctica disguised as a scientific expedition. It had the code name High Jump. In 1958, the Americans sent a major expedition to the Antarctic, during which on the 27th of August, the 30th of August and the 9th of September, there is evidence that nuclear missiles were fired at Neusvardenland, the German territory. This could be linked to the holes in the ozone layer in the Antarctic today. Parts of a report of a kamikaze operation being a joint German-Japanese expedition in Hanibu 3 to the planet Mars. A Hanibu 3 with a diameter of 71 metres is claimed to have enough power to travel the 75 million kilometres the distance from Earth to Mars. Here is a plan of the V7. After this, a new, smaller type called Vril was developed. Here you can see a sketch of the Vril. And here's a photograph of the test flight. Work on these unconventional flying machines was a race with time, since conventional rockets were also being developed, and it was a matter of competing for resources, materials and manpower to build them. These are some of the rockets being developed at this time. Every nation involved in the Second World War were developing new weapons. But the real wonder weapons were not associated with fire and noise, but were being developed and propelled quietly and secretly. An intermediate step was Project Fireball. The Allied forces called them Foo Fighters. The red markers here are indicating guns on this saucer. These are photographs of a Hanibu 2, probably taken during a test flight. We can see a gun on the bottom of this Hanibu, and what may be a symbol of the Third Reich. What a terrifying impact this must have made on people seeing the craft at a low altitude. This is a tank gun on the bottom of a honeyboo. Here again are construction plans from the honeyboo series, indicating that this mystery was once a reality. This gives weight to the suggestion that international oil companies, who control the majority of world commerce, may have something to gain by the continuing suppression of the technology which keeps these massive machines silently in the air. This form of propulsion is compatible with the misty impressions of this photograph. The gun is clearly visible under this craft. These photographs show the Honeyboo 2 experimental craft fitted underneath with tank guns developed for the Sherman Panzer or Panther tanks. Although originally these craft were designed to carry electronic guns, they were later fitted with 7.5cm tank cannons. The weight of the cannon would not have been a problem on the Honeyboo craft, which weighed almost 100 tons anyway, because the tachyon electrogravitation engine generated its own gravitational field. On this enlargement we can see the pilot in the cockpit. UFO information is also available from the Huygens Society. Next, our translator comments on some newspaper clippings.